Thank you, Riv. Gravity extending their win streak there and securing their playoff spot, as we mentioned they might do earlier in the broadcast. And honestly, started off this game with a really huge gold lead after a poor early game from Enemy there.
That was the most confusing early game I've ever seen. First off, Otter doesn't even buy a Doran's Blade, and then they don't even take the turret in a lane swap when they clearly see theirs being taken. And then Enemy just play it completely wrong after the lane swap. After the turret goes down, they swap Otter, the immobile or low mobility Kog'Maw, into that long lane, and it's already been warded by Haunter. Just some brilliant plays there in capitalization by Gravity to actually turn it around. But just overall, very bad by Enemy.
You don't see teams give up a turret in a lane swap scenario, especially when they can't isolate a freeze in lane. Like, the only way you would ever want to give away a turret is if you're guaranteeing a free farm lane for one champion and you can deny a full wave from the enemy team.
Right.
Not only did Enemy not get a free farm lane, they actually got killed in the lane in which they gave up the turret, which just added insult to injury.
Well, the way that was set up, too, is Haunter, after the wave, he pushed it up, and he actually placed his own ward there for the TP later. So that was a play that he was premeditating 1 minute in advance, and Move sat in the Baron pit. He saw everybody pass him. He's like, all right, I'm waiting here for this kill. This is going to happen. Yeah. So it was very meditated, and I love seeing that when they recognize the mistake, and they're going to make you pay for it.
Yeah, and you're right. The premeditation was really smart play of Gravity. And I also want to cement that this wasn't even like a compositional problem from Enemy. Like,
execution.
Tristana didn't even learn explosive charge, right? You also have a Janna on your team. Like, you could make the argument, oh, but there's a Tristana on one team. She's going to be better at killing the turret, so why even bother? Not the case here. You've got a Janna, which is the best support for making this turret go down. You didn't even buy freaking attack damage, and you didn't lose explosive charge, which is the reason Tristana's good at this. Like, this wasn't even a catch-22 where you're screwed either way. This was just a complete misplay, and I like separating those out where sometimes there's never a good option. This was not one of those, and it was definitely a very heartbreaking early game.
Yeah, and it exacerbates the problem that Enemy has been suffering the whole split. They have the lowest gold at 10 minutes and the most gold against at 10 minutes, and it's on average 1,000 gold discrepancy by the 10-minute mark. This game was 2,500, so their problems are not improving; they're just getting worse as the split continues on. They're going to be looking to be in a bit of trouble. They have shown that they have pretty good team play if they withstand the early game, because the wins they've gotten, it's because they rotate around the map and get picks, but they never had the opportunity to do that.
And it seems funny that at the bottom of the table right now we're seeing this kind of bottom four teams jockey for position when you're looking at getting that 7th place spot, avoiding the relegation zone entirely. But having early game issues, I would imagine, is going to be the biggest problem of all the teams, because most of these guys can lane, right? They can come out with a lead, but if you can't, how are you gonna even jockey against?
We just saw Teammate beat TSM yesterday, and TSM was hiding from the 2-on-2 because they respected Nian and Dota that much. The teams in the same spot as you are literally doing what you're failing to do, right? And we're seeing Cloud9 had a couple of pretty good games. We saw Cloud9 come back from a massive gold deficit against TSM earlier on in the year and whatnot. Teammate or Enemy have managed to squeak out a couple of wins, and that's good for them. But it seems like it's not happening anymore.
Touching on Gravity real quickly, because although, I was going to say, Nash really cool. Although Enemy did have a multitude of misplays early in the game, which allowed Gravity that early lead, they did play it very methodically from then on out, closed the game, got the win that they are expected to get. I feel like this is the approach they're going to need to take for the remainder of the season to secure that first place slot.
They do average about a 38-minute game time here, so they like to just play it out for that 5th dragon. And then you saw after it was stolen, they're like, okay, let's go Baron, let's actually end it out here. And they played that well. Keen had a massive CS lead at 25 minutes. He had 300 CS. He was ready to take over the game. And another big thing, just Gravity overall, I said at the start of the day, I don't know who's going to stop them. Now they have 4 games left, and they play
Dignitas, Teammate, Impulse, and TDK.
Yeah. I don't know who's going to stop them. They just look really solid.
We'll have to see. We do have our first playoff team. Don't go anywhere after this quick break. We'll jump into our next match, Cloud9 versus Team Dignitas. Stay with us.